Commentary on Revelation 19:11-21. This passage presents a vivid and climactic vision of triumph, framed in symbolic language that draws heavily from prophetic imagery. The scene unfolds not as a distant end of world catastrophe, but as a revelation of covenantal judgment and vindication within the redemptive historical context familiar to the original audience. Verse 11. The opened heaven and the faithful rider. John sees heaven opened, signaling a revelatory moment rather than a physical descent from the sky. The rider on the white horse is called faithful and true, emphasizing the reliability and righteousness of his judgments. This figure corresponds to the already enthroned Christ, now revealed in judicial action. The imagery echoes earlier depictions, Revelation 1, showing continuity rather than a new phase of redemptive work. Verse 12, eyes like fire, many crowns. The eyes of fire signify penetrating insight and perfect discernment. The many crowns, diadems, contrast with the limited crowns of earthly rulers, indicating supreme authority over all competing powers. The unknown name suggests a dimension of identity not fully comprehended, reinforcing transcendence beyond human categorization. Verse 13, the blood-dipped robe. The robe dipped in blood is not his own atoning blood, already shed and effectual, but reflects judicial victory, consistent with prophetic language such as Isaiah 63. The title, The Word of God, connects this rider with divine self-expression, the same logos revealed from the beginning, now manifest in judgment against covenantal unfaithfulness. Verse 14, the heaven. The armies clothed in white linen represent those already purified and identified with him, symbolizing righteousness already granted, not earned. Their participation is not described as active combat, but as accompanying the victorious king, underscoring that the decisive action belongs to him alone. Verse 15, the sword from his mouth. The sharp sword proceeding from his mouth signifies judgment through his word. This is consistent with prophetic declarations where divine speech accomplishes judgment. The striking of the nations reflects the execution of covenantal consequences, particularly against those aligned with opposition to his established reign. The rod of iron echoes Psalm 2, where the Messiah exercises authority over rebellious nations. The winepress imagery conveys the intensity and finality of this judgment. Verse 16, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. This title affirms universal sovereignty. It is not a future acquisition of authority, but a revealed reality. His dominion is being manifested in history through decisive acts of judgment. Verses 17-18, the Great Supper of God. The call to the birds to feast on the flesh of kings and warriors mirrors Old Testament prophetic warnings, e.g. Ezekiel 39. This is symbolic of total defeat and disgrace for those opposing divine authority. The emphasis is not on literal consumption, but on the complete overthrow of persecuting powers. Verse 19, the gathering for war. The beast and the kings of the earth assemble in opposition. This reflects organized resistance against Christ's rule, particularly embodied in systems and authorities hostile to his covenant people. The conflict is not a prolonged battle, but a decisive confrontation. Verse 20, the defeat of the beast and false prophet. The beast and the false prophet are seized and thrown into the lake of fire. These figures represent oppressive political and religious systems that deceived and persecuted. Their removal signifies the end of their authority and influence. The lake of fire symbolizes irreversible judgment, not a future event awaiting fulfillment, but the decisive end of those powers within the historical unfolding of redemption. Verse 21, the slaying by the sword. The rest are slain by the sword from his mouth, again emphasizing judgment through his word. The imagery of birds being filled with their flesh reinforces the completeness of the victory. No opposition remains standing. Summary. This passage portrays the unveiling of Christ's victorious authority in judgment against covenantal enemies. The language is highly symbolic, rooted in prophetic tradition, and communicates the certainty, righteousness, and completeness of his triumph. It is not depicting a distant physical war at the end of time, but the decisive overthrow of opposing powers within the redemptive framework already inaugurated and brought to fulfillment.